to daybreak, like she says herself. Having been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS in the 1980s, when there was so much stigma associated with it, when it was a death sentence, we ask, what has the struggle, what has the decades-long struggle with HIV and AIDS been like for her and many other people with the disease? That's a conversation that you most definitely do not want to miss, and it shall come your way shortly. But first, the highlights.
Niliwaambia last month bei ya mafuta itakuja chini. Si ndio? Imekuja chini. Nawaambia tena mwezi ujao bei ya mafuta itakuja chini.
Hope as President William Ruto assures Kenyans pump prices will ease in January next year.
Kama serikali kuu imeleta sheria ambayo ni mbaya, takana bunge itetee haki ya wananchi.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga claims Parliament has been captured by the executive.
I would wish to ask the government to address the issue of infrastructure in our schools.
And teachers want more reforms in CBC as government promises to streamline the education sector. Welcome to the broadcast. We invite you to engage with us tonight on our social media handles at TV47 News on Twitter, TV47 Kenya on Facebook. My X handle is at Grace Kuria KE. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Roda Nyamai, and my name is Grace Kuria Kanja. Once again, welcome to the broadcast. Now, we begin on a sad note where 10 people have died and 7 others are nursing injuries following a tragic road accident at Thungone area on the Kikima-Machakos Road in Makueni County. Machakos Deputy County Commissioner Stanlers Apwaka has confirmed the incident, saying the driver of the matatu from the Machakos Sacco lost control of the vehicle at around 5 p.m. this evening and landed in a ditch. Now, Makueni Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has urged motorists to exercise caution on the road.
Tumepata ripoti kwamba matatu ambayo ilikuwa inatoka sehemu ya Mboni ikielekea Machakos ya Machakos Sacco ilipoteza mwenendo na ikapinduka, na kufikia saa 1:30 hivi ripoti ambazo tumezipata kupitia kwa polisi zinasema kwamba watu 10 wamepoteza maisha yao, 7 wako katika hali mahututi. Kwa hivi sasa wanashughulikiwa katika hospitali ya Mboni na wengine tuna transfer katika hospitali yetu kuu ya Wote. Kwa wale ambao wamepoteza maisha yao na familia zao, kwa niaba yangu na familia yangu nawapatia risala za rambirambi. Wale ambao wameumia tutawashughulikia kuhakikisha kwamba wapata matibabu kikamilifu. Nituchukue nafasi hii ni wahadhari madereva kwamba wakati wa msimu wa mvua na wakati wa Christmas ni vizuri wawe waangalifu, wafuate sheria, kwa sababu kulingana na hesabu ambayo tumeipata, gari hiyo ilikuwa imebeba watu kuzidi kiasi.
Our condolences to those that have lost their loved ones, and of course a speedy recovery to those that are nursing injuries. Now tonight, President William Ruto has assured Kenyans that fuel prices will drop in January next year, bringing hope to Kenyans grappling with the escalating cost of living. Speaking at a Thanksgiving service in Kisii County, the president responded to calls from leaders to alleviate the burden of the high cost of living. However, he acknowledged that he did not have direct control over the drop in fuel prices, attributing it to oil producers. Apollo Kamau reports.
President William Ruto's presence during a Thanksgiving service on Saturday at the Cardinal Otunga Mosocho High School came with good tidings for Kenyans in the new year, promising fuel prices will drop even further from the current drop of 5 shillings. The head of state was, however, quick to point out his inability to influence price regulation, attributing it to decisions made by oil-producing countries, specifically OPEC.
Niliwaambia last month bei ya mafuta itakuja chini. Si ndio? Imekuja chini. Nawaambia tena mwezi ujao bei ya mafuta itakuja chini. Lakini msinipigie makofi kwa sababu hakuna kazi mimi nimefanya ndio bei ya mafuta ikateremka. I did nothing. Hakuna kazi nimefanya askofu. Umenisaidia tu kunipigia makofi bure. Hakuna kitu mimi nimefanya. Kwa sababu hii bei ya mafuta sio mimi napandisha na kuteremsha. Kuna watu wengine wako na oil huko ndio wanatuletea bei kila mwezi.
The head of state at the same time responded to calls from leaders for him to address the cost of living, where he acknowledged his accomplishments in economic development and fighting corruption.
Even when the cost of life has gone up, I told you that I have faith in you. That day we met, I told you that I have faith in you and you will fulfill what you have promised to the people of Kenya given time.
If William Ruto doesn't fix Kenya, who can? If you. You have been in this government the longest. You are with President Moi, you are with President Kibaki, you've been with President Uhuru, now you are yourself. Surely, my president.
Mheshimiwa, mimi I'll support your agenda because we are cooperating, the county government and the national government. In 5 years, tutapewa mtihani moja na tutafanya. Kwa hivyo naomba kwamba sisi tuendelee na kazi.
Vile naona hawa wananchi, once you reduce the cost of living, Kenya nzima watu watakuwa na furaha.
After months of fuel price hikes, a significant reduction was announced, with super petrol seeing a decrease of 5 shillings, kerosene and diesel experiencing reductions of 2 and 4 shillings respectively on Friday.
Pia tumeona Mheshimiwa Rais, bei ya mafuta imeshuka chini. Ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Kibagendi, nimesikia ukisema masuala ya mafuta, lakini ni muhimu tukumbuke kwamba sio rais ambaye anapandisha ama anashukisha. There are many factors ambaye ndio inafanya bei ya mafuta.
Ruto further said he will not be derailed by cartels out to stop his flagship projects, universal health coverage and affordable housing projects through court injunctions.
Lakini hawa wakora ambao wamekuwa wakifaidika sasa wameenda kotini. Ndio unasikia hiyo sheria ine tulipitisha ati wamepeleka kotini. Ati wanataka kutusimamisha ndio waendelee na kuiba. Mimi nataka niwaambie mniangalie macho vizuri. Tafuteni mtu ya kutishana naye, sio mimi. Hakuna vile nitaruhusu watu ambao ni wakora waendelee kunyanyasa wananchi wa Kenya.
In efforts to boost the economy, Ruto disclosed plans to create 1 million jobs for Kenyans abroad, citing successful bilateral agreements. The first batch of 10,000 Kenyans is set to leave the country within the next 2 months. The disbursement of NGCDF funds to facilitate the opening of digital hubs and create jobs and affordable housing, part of the president's pioneering projects to ease the burden on the cost of living. The president further waded into local politics, asking leaders to unite. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua admitted having a hand in Kisii Governor Simba Arati political wars after the government withdrew his security.
Hata tuko na vyama tofauti, lakini sisi tukikuona hatuna maneno ya chama, tunaketi na wewe kama rais wetu, tunakaribisha viongozi wote, ndio tuketi tusukume gurudumu hii ya maendeleo.
Bwana Governor, umeongea mzuri. Kibagedi, umeongea mzuri. Yangu tu ni kuomba vile mnaongea rais akiwa hapa, hata akitoka muendelee kusukumuza the same way. Let's be consistent.
Apul Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo Kamau, for that. Now, moving on, and Azimio leader Raila Odinga now claims that the Kenya Kwanza administration has taken control of the legislative arm of the government, rendering Parliament incapable of fulfilling its oversight responsibilities on behalf of Kenyans. Speaking at the burial of former Bumula MP Lawrence Sifuna, Raila called for the resignation of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, alleging that his presence in Parliament is illegitimate. Wanju Sostin with the details.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga has strongly criticized National Assembly legislators, accusing them of neglecting their legislative duties.
Bunge inatakikana hiyo ni inaangalia kazi ya serikali kuu. Lakini kama bunge inafanya kazi ya serikali kuu, sasa nani ataongoza bunge? Sasa kama bunge yenyewe imefinywa mateke, manake sasa kama serikali kuu imeleta sheria ambayo ni mbaya, takana bunge itetee haki ya wananchi.
Is to ask my colleagues whom we are in parliament together not to allow parliament to be taken hostage by the executive.
Speaking during the funeral ceremony of former Bumula MP Lawrence Sifuna in Kandui, Bungoma County, Raila took a swipe at the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, urging him to step down, claiming that he is holding the political office unconstitutionally.
Speaker must be somebody who is neutral. A speaker must be non-partisan. You cannot be a speaker if you remain a member or leader of the Conservative Party or Labour Party. Huwezi mpaka ujizulu cheo chako ya kichama ndio wewe unaweza kuwa neutral speaker.
In a collective plea, leaders present at the funeral implored President William Ruto to reconsider plans for privatizing public entities, saying that their proposed intentions lacked adequate public participation.
Wanasema wanataka kuuza mashirika ya serikali. KPA, ati NOC, ati hizi Mumias, Zoya na kadhalika. Na bunge wenyewe tayari wamesema sheria moja maleta ati bunge isikague kazi ya serikali.
They expressed dissatisfaction with the current government, stating that the cries of Kenyans were being ignored, attributing this to MPs assuming executive roles instead of focusing on legislative responsibilities.
Mulipopitisha finance bill, we doubled VAT on fuel from 8% to 16%. Kwa mafuta taa peke yake, kina mama mlio hapo, tuli double hiyo pesa, ile increment kwa mafuta taa was increased by 33 shillings.
Mambo ya kutengana mpira, I really like it when you use it. But what I have also noticed, Prime Minister, is that the people who are always outside the field, they always look like they can play better than those in the field.
The late Lawrence Sifuna, who served 2 terms each for the Bungoma South constituents and the Bumula constituents, was eulogized as a strong leader who fought for the rights of the local Mwananchi.
If you look at the annals of Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, him and Shikuku, there were 2 things they used to do. Lawrence asking questions every day. Second, motions, and they were there all the time.
If Lawrence Sifuna had not been a man of principle, I would not have associated Edwin Sifuna with Lawrence Sifuna.
Despite their common ground on various issues, the leaders found themselves in disagreement over the elusive concept of Luhya unity, a long-standing topic in the western region. Nevertheless, a unified call was made for leaders to prioritize the welfare and well-being of the local citizens.
Hakuna leader yote ambaye yuko Kenya Kwanza government ambaye ameita mimi kama uparanya kutoka Butere kuja tukae tuongee mambo yetu.
Politics of Kenya is also regional. I want to support him that we must also panga ourselves. To negotiate with other people, we must also remain united and have one leader that we respect.
Which other unity are you people looking for? Which other unity? For as long as we can see that when it comes to interests of the issues of the community.
Pande ya Western Kenya sisi tunakuanga united by funerals.
Wanji Sustin, TV47, Bungoma.
Thank you, Andrew Sustin, for that. Now, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has appealed to Kenyans to be patient as the Kenya Kwanza administration endeavors to reduce the cost of living. Speaking during Thanksgiving prayers at Mwamba Primary School in Igembe, South Meru County, Linturi encouraged farmers to capitalize on the ongoing rains to enhance food security by increasing agricultural production. North Imenti Member of Parliament Rahim Dawood and his Igembe Central Member counterpart Daniel Kili echoed CS Linturi's sentiments, saying they will support the government in revitalizing the country's economy and shielding Kenyans from challenging economic conditions.
We have gotten very good rains. Ukiingia unapata chakula imemea. There are many greens there. Mahindi tulivuna mingi sana, tuko na milioni kama 60 the last season na now ya mahindi yetu iko na mashambani. And we must also tell the Lord asante. We cannot always complain because there is El Nino. Hapana. El Nino, let us see that silver lining in that cloud of El Nino.
Na nimesikia watu wameongea hapa, wamekwambia kuna vurugu Meru. Kweli? Unajua wewe ni kiongozi wa Kenya. Hii mambo ya vurugu ya Meru iko mbali sana na wewe.
Hawa MCAs wameteseka na mahali wako hawajui pali wanaendelea kwa saa hii. Na lazima MCAs mjue sisi wajumbe wote 11 tuko na nyinyi.
And Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has affirmed the government's commitment to tackling challenges confronted by teachers, specifically those linked to the implementation of the competency-based curriculum. Now, despite the government's assurance to address challenges related to the new CBC, the issue of capitation to fund junior secondary school remains unsettled months after its introduction. Now, this as teachers raised concerns about the grade 7 and 8 placements, as Paul Kirobi reports.
Speaking during celebrations to mark Kuppet Silver Jubilee, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi reiterated the government's commitment to addressing challenges faced by teachers, particularly those related to the implementation of the competency-based curriculum, responding to challenges raised by teachers, including concerns about the employment terms of junior secondary school interns. Mudavadi affirmed the government's commitment to improving their conditions in line with their employment agreements.
And for the provision of a group life cover as part of the teachers' medical insurance. I understand that teachers are the only public servants, and indeed it was said here, without a life cover. It is only fair that we harmonize their position with the rest of the public service.
Teachers who are working in very peculiar conditions. And I think this is what I will address. I will not address the issue of bread and butter today, but I would wish to ask the government to address the issue of infrastructure in our schools.
While Kuppet advocates for the placement of grade 8 and 9 students in secondary schools, there is a divergence of opinions. Teachers are now emphasizing that grade 7 students should remain in primary schools, with grade 8 students transitioning to secondary schools. Attending the Kuppet celebrations, Mudavadi confirmed that primary and secondary schools have received increased capitation to accommodate the rising cost of education services. Additionally, universities have received additional funding, including research grants. Mudavadi highlighted the restructuring of the Higher Education Loans Board HELB funding model to align with students' capacity to repay education loans. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul Kirobi, for that. Now, a man from Kimaru Village, Nyandarua County, has captured the attention of many locals following his dedication in caring for his autistic son as a single parent after his wife allegedly abandoned them 17 years ago. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
If resilience, strength, and hope took human form, it would undoubtedly embody 61-year-old Paul Warobo Githuba, a father to a 22-year-old autistic child. For Githuba, Being a single father means shouldering the responsibility of caring for his 3 children, with a significant focus on his second-born, who was diagnosed with autism at the tender age of 3.
Sasa ninaambia kijana wewe kana huyu mtoto, ikifika saa mpatie chakula. Na mimi saa 7 ninarudi hapa, sasa ninawaangalia.
Now, Githuba plays the role of both mother and father to his children after his wife departed 2 years following the revelation of Kimani's autistic condition.
Sasa mama yake alienda akakaa huko kwa Niko wiki 3. Sasa unaona siwezi hata Saidi alirudishwa hapa na Niko, siwezi nikarudi kwa kazi. Sasa nikakaa hapa kwa kijiji, nikaenda kusuguka hivi kutafuta vibarua.
Despite the challenges, he remains hopeful and optimistic that his son will eventually recover, as he encourages parents with disabled children to love, care for and cherish their children no matter the obstacles.
Na ugonjwa inakujaga kwa mtu yoyote. Kwa hivyo mtu akikuwa na mtoto akiwa na disability, apende hiyo mtoto na amtuze na ampatie chakula, ikiwa ni kumsafisha, amsafishe vizuri.
This is Kimaru Special School, and as its name depicts, everything in this school is special in a way, from the learners who are abled differently to the chairs, toilets and beds used.
In case of an attack, the child cannot bump down very much. And they cannot also be injured. So it is an adapted table for an autistic learner.
Autism, a developmental disorder affecting the nervous system, impairs the ability to communicate and interact.
We have a lot of children or people with autism. The challenge we are having is that they are either undiagnosed or they are diagnosed but they are hiding in the house.
Remarkably, public figures like Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, footballer Lionel Messi, and American rapper Eminem have all been diagnosed with autism, serving as inspiration to the estimated 4% of the autistic population in Kenya.
So, autistic children need more help than any other person in this world, because there is an opportunity for them to become great. There is an opportunity for them to become wealthy, creative and change the world.
Nyandarua head of public policy and special projects Omaratu Shege has called on county government to set aside a budget to build classrooms and facilitate learning for autistic children, aligning with the autism bill.
And itakuwa compulsory that our children affected with autism get accessible, affordable and effective education.
Some parents they are still in marriage, but they are single because their partners are not supporting the condition of their children.
Parents with autistic children are advised to adopt dietary habits that enhance brain activity, including avoiding sugar, wheat products and processed foods. Additionally, exposing these children to physical exercise is recommended to help channel their high energy potential. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
TV47 Sports, brought to you by Kulik Prize and Radio 47. Make your festive gaming experience memorable. Tune in, play, and stand a chance to unwrap delightful surprises all December long with the Radio 47 and Kulik Prize.
Beautiful piece there, Elizabeth Atieno. To the world of sports now, and Vihiga Bullets rallied from a goal down to secure a 4-1 victory in the FKF National Super League match against Mulembe United in a match played at the Ruaraka grounds. The match saw Mulembe take the lead in the first half courtesy of Kefa Ondati's goal. However, the second half witnessed a resurgence from Vihiga Bullets, marked by Awar's Soita's equalizer at the 46th minute mark. Thomas Omole knitted a hat-trick hat-trick with his first goal in the 75th minute, giving Bullets the lead, followed by 2 more goals scored in the 84th and 93rd minutes, respectively. Now, meanwhile, Kibra Black Stars held Mathare United to a 2-2 draw, while Naivas FC defeated Mombasa Elite.
First of all, niko na furaha because unajua kutoka chini first half tulikuwa tushafungwa 1-0, so umeona kama second half nimefanya tactical change mbili na game ika turn back into our favor na tukapata kufunga 4 goals second half. So mimi nimefurahia kama coach.
Game ya leo tumeanza fiti, but on the way second half ile I think kulikuwa na fatigue kidogo, and then tulilegeza kidogo juu ukiangalia traveling tumetoka Western na tule tumefika hapa Nairobi 5 morning, so hata ile rest hatujakuwa nayo enough. So I think kulikuwa na fatigue kiasi, watu wamechoka, ile kukimbia pia imekuwa tukalegeza, that's why tumepigwa hivyo.
Now, KCB RFC clinched its third consecutive victory of the 2023-24 Kenya Cup season by overwhelming Homeboys RFC with a decisive 77-10 in a match played at the KCB Sports Club. Homeboys' Brian Juma opened the scoring within the first 2 minutes, capitalizing on a momentary lapse from the bankers. KCB responded minutes later through Peter Waitere, Festus Shiasi, Michael Kimwele, who added tries and solidified KCB's dominant 36-5 lead at the break. In the second half, Captain Griffin Musila added to KCB's tally, grabbing a try just 5 minutes into the game as Vincent Onyala picked a brace, while Festus Shiasi and Austin Sikutwa added their names into the scorebook, bringing the final score to 77-10. Meanwhile, Nondis defeated Kisumu 32-16, while Cabras stand Catholic Mons 78-0.
I think we need to work on our exit strategy, and I think the boys it's like they are warming up late, so I think we are going to work on that during the warm-ups, and we are going to work on the defense.
All right, and time now for a very fast commercial break here on TV47 Weekend Edition. But don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll come back with this. Say that conversation with none other than Assunta Wagura, who shall be joining us live from all the way from Canada. Okay, most definitely a conversation that you do not want to miss. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Rhoda Nyamai. Stay with us.
Wanasema wasemao kuwa elimu ni bahari haishi kwa kuchotwa. Wakati mwingi natangamana na wanafunzi madarasani, sio kama mwalimu bali kama nahodha kwenye kipindi cha tasnia ya elimu. Na iwapo utanikosa madarasani, basi utanipata nyanjani nikisaka habari zenye usawa, ufasaha na ukweli. Na iwapo utanikosa nyanjani, bila shaka utanipata studioni hapa nikisoma habari na kuendesha mijadala mikomavu. Mimi ni Andrin Kilemi, mpenzi wa lugha ya Kiswahili na elimu kwa jumla.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Said, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
What's making the headlines? What does it mean to you? How does it affect you? We answer all these questions every Sunday for half an hour on To The Point Show. Hey, I'm Grace Kuriakanja, and a lot has happened this week. Let's dive into it.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of untold stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao.
Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa we could get money to pay our rent, pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Mutuku.
Well, if it is happening, then we are definitely talking about it on TV47's Disruptive Friday. Don't miss a moment on the most technological and disruptive moment on TV.
From groundbreaking AI breakthroughs to the latest ingenious innovations, we have it all covered for you. Get ready to see the future unfold right in front of your eyes. My name is Eric Munene.
And my name is Linda Alala, and we not promise nothing short of great news experience.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Time now for Her Say, and today we cross our borders beyond Kenya, beyond Africa, and we take you all the way to Canada, particularly at St. Catharines, where Assunta Wagura is. She's joining us live from there. Assunta, it's afternoon, by the way, where she is. It's around 1:30 p.m., right, Assunta?
Yeah, it's past 1.
Great. Karibu sana. We are so glad to have you on Her Say tonight.
Yeah.
No worries. No worries. Just sort that out.
Yeah.
Okay. How have you been, Assunta?
I've been fine. Thank you.
Uh-huh. How is it like in Canada?
Well, I would say Canada is good. Really good.
All right. Canada is good, she says. Yeah. So let's get straight into it, Assunta. And I want to start by asking you to talk to us about who Assunta is. And I ask this not because I don't know, but because on your LinkedIn profile, Assunta, you say that all along I have always known who I am and more who I am not. I carry so many titles, some of which I've picked along the way and others that have been thrown my way. So I want you to briefly tell us who Assunta Wagura is.
It's a rough one. I also sometimes wonder who I am. But I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 5 boys. I think the mother is the greatest of the titles. And what else? I'm a go-getter. And I consider myself outgoing and compassionate.
Most definitely. And I should have told you this, by the way, at the beginning of yours, because Assunta is more than that. She is the Executive Director, KAWAC, that is the KACB World Work Alliance in Canada. And she was also Executive Director of the Kenya Network of Women with AIDS, that is, of course, in Kenya. And she is an anti-HIV AIDS crusader. Assunta, I want to take you back to so many years back, your childhood, growing up. What kind of relationship did you have with your parents, with your siblings, with people around you?
Growing up, I just grew like, I was brought up like an ordinary girl in the village. But I remember most of the time I spent time with my grandmother. Mom and dad had a really volatile relationship. So most of the time I found myself with my grandma. Paternal grandma.
All right.
And I went to school, Kehuyo Primary School. After that, I went to Mukroini, South Tetu Girls. Then I went to Orkejuado High School.
Mm-hmm. And I want to carry on. Did I interject?
No, it's okay.
Okay, I want to ask about your relationship with your dad, Assunta. Perhaps I'm asking this because I was also a dad girl, before my dad passed away. But what was your relationship with him like?
My relationship with my dad was the best. I think he was the best man I have ever met. And he loved me, he spoiled me. And that's the kind of a man he was. And he encouraged me through failures, through what. He helped me a lot. And what I liked about him, he could interpret stuff in a language I could understand.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So let me now fast forward to, I believe, the year 1988. Assunta, because most of us know you or relate with you in regards to, being an anti-HIV/AIDS crusader. And back in the days, even when I was growing up, we all knew Assunta Wagura. But I want you to take us through 1988, which should be the year that, you were diagnosed with HIV.
Yeah. In 1988 is a very significant year in my life. I had joined a medical school, and then I was diagnosed to be infected with HIV. And back in 1988, there was no HIV. It was only AIDS. So I was told, you have AIDS. Yeah, you may live for 6 months or so, and pack and go home. And I remember it was very devastating going home because I had dreams, plans ahead of me, and there was no room for questions. So I just went home and resigned to die.
You just went home and waited to die?
I waited to die, yes.
Okay.
But then I didn't die within 6 months. There was I was given like a grace period, and so I waited and started countdown. So I said, like, after 1 month, I have 5 months. After the second month, I have 4 months. And I was looking out to see how a person with the AIDS looks like. I would go in front of the mirror, look at myself. I don't see anything. I don't see any change with myself. But I'm carrying this baggage. I'm going to die. And sometimes I wanted to ask, to call the institution and ask, what is the exact date I'm going to die? And what time? And then are there feelings towards dying so that I can know now I'm headed to dying? I had all those, you would call them silly questions.
Mm-hmm. And I want us to remain there because, so many years have passed, and I know there's been a lot of change, which we shall talk about later on. But let's stay there, Assunta, because my understanding is you were called to the principal's office. She's the one who broke the news to you in the company of your mother. I want to take you back to that very day, Assunta. When this news was broken to you, what did it do to you?
I was called from the classroom. I went to the principal's office, and what was very strange, I found my mom there. I didn't know how they had communicated to her because that time there were no phones or cell phones to reach where mom was. And of course, like the principal and the student, the relationship in a Catholic institution, she is so senior, you don't even, you just listen to her. So I just listened, and then she reminded me, 2 weeks we had taken your blood, we tested whether you had sexually transmitted disease, and we found you have AIDS. And then your mom is here, you go home with her. So mom could not understand English. So she explained in Kiswahili, mtoto wako atakufa, akona ugonjwa baya, akona ugonjwa ya malaya. And oh dear, I wanted to correct there and then that I'm not a malaya, but she just went ahead and concluded. So you go with her and wait for demise or when she will die. So mom asked, like, how long would that be? Say, anaweza kuishi hata miezi 6. Oh, okay. So then it was in August. So I found like maybe around February, January, that's the time I died. And we packed and left the institution. I'm not sure I was seeing things. I was blank at some point. I wanted to cry. I don't know why I didn't cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to correct the perception that I'm a bad person, I'm a prostitute, which I'm not. So anyway, we headed there, we packed me, even I don't think I was seeing anything. We went home, and home was another drama, a real drama.
Take us through that.
Yeah, at home, so we sat down. Mom told me, now because we die anyway, we're gonna give you that room there. There was a room there where there were goats, I think, and sometimes they would put chicken or firewood or something. So I would sleep there. I didn't really mind where I was sleeping. I think my emotions, I was going through a turmoil or a tsunami of a kind. So, and then she said, yeah, you can be staying there until your time comes. So I stayed there, and it was bad. It was really ugly. Let me say it was ugly, the whole scenario, because if you look at that time, I think I was 22 years or so, looking forward. I complete college, I get married, I have a wedding, a garden wedding, then I settle, get children, and all those things anybody thinks about. And then all that was cut in an instance of a sentence. A sentence cut that all out without considering, like, what is there? Where is he? Without offering any hope to hold on. So I stayed there, and I remember occasionally I would go out. I would look at the billboards, particularly pale Jogoo hivi wameweka billboard ilikuwa na kamzee kamekoda, kamewekewa madawa hapo, and then they're saying bado haina tiba. Then I'm looking at matatu guy, people, and I think looking at me and comparing me to that man. You know, like I'm feeling everybody sees it, anybody can see it. But at some time I decided to commit suicide. And then it didn't work because I think I'm in the coward group. I can't stand on the stool and pick the stool with a rope around my neck. So I thought the best thing I can do, that time there were Nyayo buses. I would travel with the Nyayo bus in front, and I pray to get into an accident. Then I don't die in that circumstance. So I would travel to Machakos. Okay, I said, God, help. Now when it is back, surely God, do something. I go back, nothing, not even a tire burst, nothing, not even a flat tire, nothing. So I go back home. I go back and I would look around. Incidentally, life was going on. It didn't matter what is happening to me. People are going to work, people are laughing, people are planning wicked things, and people are doing stuff. I said, you mean life is still going on? Because there are things that happen to you, and you think time will stand still. But anyway, I tried that, then money ran out, I didn't have money for bars. So I now waited for the official death. It didn't happen, and this time I could remember at home, they give me like an isolated spoon, a cup, a what. And you know the African setup, things me go all the time, utensils me go all the time. So it was very hard, like just touch a mtungi to get water. Don't touch a jug that you use, they don't want you to touch the mtungi. Difficult, small things that were difficult.
And one day, Assunta,
it's not everyone that was against it. Some members, family members, the family members were divided into 2 camps. There are those who supported me, there are those who are totally against me. And especially the one who is in charge, who was my mom. Whenever the stuff goes wrong, the person you run to is your mom. Now, when she's not there for you, things turn out to be real hot.
Right. And you know, I attempted to jump on a while back when you were talking about the utensils, because I know there's a time ulikasirika na ukaamua to use the same utensils that the other people are using, Assunta.
Yeah, because like kama karai siwezi kuwa na karai yangu, you know, like you have your own karai. No, and then Of course, there are some information that was coming out, like you can't get if you share karai. But then they were insisting, oh, you can't shower with you can't use the karai, you can't use it, I don't know, you can't touch what. There were so many not to, but nothing that you can do.
True. True. Okay, I want us to talk about after the 6 months that you had been given to leave, but I first want to take you back to the principal's office, Assunta, because I'm aware that when you left the office, I mean, the people you found outside were wearing what we saw during COVID, you know, protective clothing, gloves and all that. I mean, take us through that.
Yeah, that was in the dormitory when I went to pack my stuff. So the guys were wearing this white stuff and, you know, like they cover, I think now you saw how they were handling COVID. That way, that's the way they were handling. So they would pick what is belonged to school and what belonged to me. Then they had this kind of sprayers and what have you. But they were not coming so close to me. Actually, I was moving like I said, oh, really? Now this is how life will be. You know, they were keeping some distance from me. And of course I packed and I think they burnt what they left behind.
All right, so let me now take you to 6 months because Ulituambe used to count down 1 month imeisha, so 5 left, 4 months left, 3 months. But 6 months lapsed, Assunta, and you are still alive.
Yeah, it was again, how do I say? It was unacceptable. Like, how do you tell me 6 months, then I'm not dying. I wanted to call her and say, I didn't die. What do you mean? You know, like, and then people are passing through over there. Of course, I didn't tell you. Primary school, I was #1 in my village. In the whole, I think, division or whatever. So everybody knew about me or knew me. So come back, the HIV or AIDS. Everybody knows who is that. So then they were coming over there, nobody enters. They shungulia over the fence. Some greet my mom, some others don't. They're just looking like and speaking in whispers. Atatoka ni akumorori, you know, like she'll come out right now. Just let me see. Yeah, and that is what I hated most. Remember, I was not feeling any pain, like I was not sick, I was not in anything, but I didn't want to live through that. So that's why when now after 6 months, I decided now, and I didn't tell you, by that time I was not showering. What for? I was not brushing my teeth or combing. You don't do that when you are going to die, you do that when you are living.
Yeah.
Or when you're sure, or you wake up tomorrow, or at least today I'm going to leave. But when you are dying, Lily, you lose all those things lose meaning. So I decided because I'm not dead, I only lived, and I can't imagine what my first positive step was to take a shower. I said, oh God, I can feel fresh. Yeah, that's when I decided to use everything.
Yes.
Everything. I took soap because I think, I don't know whether many people do that, but as like growing up, we are using one soap. You know, like we are using soap until inaisha kabisa tena mnabai ingine or something like that. So now I used the soap. I said, if you don't use, then buy yours. Me, I'll be using this one. Then mine to get finished, I use yours. So, with the time, I decided like, well, I'm not sick and I'm not what, and this family kind of is shunning me away. You can see, you can tell where you are. Yani mwenye anakufukuza kuambi toka.
Ni kweli.
So I decided to be in Nairobi, to come Nairobi and then start all over again. So what did I do? I got some women. I would follow up on some HIV stuff, and I got to know about Joe Morioki.
Yes, yes.
When I joined Joe Morioki, Morioki laughed at me. Said, "Atulikuwa unajifungia ukufe." Then it was You should have come here, we eat and drink and make merry the few days that you have. I think that was very encouraging. Then there was another guy there, Mr. Lenya. Mr. Lenya, he was the director of tap work. Ebu come here, young girl. Ati unasema nini? Sasa niko najiririsha hapo nalia. But you're crying. Did you cry when getting it? So you're crying like you took it with the tea. No, you didn't take it with the tea. Behave yourself and all that. You know, like they were so assertive with reality, you know, being real with you. And then I realized all those people who were there in the meeting and everyone there had HIV. And slowly we started a group of women.
Right.
Not many, actually 5 of us.
Okay, we shall get there. We shall get there, Assunta. Allow me to interject. But I want to know all this while, because again, we shall talk about what I know you have an issue with, the depiction of HIV, especially then. I remember in primary school, they would bring us this very, very scary videos, you know, with photos of people with HIV and how they look. But all this while, Assunta, you're telling me there was no significant change in your body that would show that, you know, you have HIV.
There was, but I doubt it was HIV. It was the stress.
Yes, I agree.
And emotional. I think at one time I was weighing 8 kg or that 5 kg.
And because of the stress.
Yeah, it's stress. Not really. I never had manifestation of HIV like at the final stage, like what you would call AIDS. But now HIV, stress, and people talking, especially people talking was very, what do I say? That's what I dreaded most. And like I go somewhere, watu wananiangalia, naona niko na pimple hapo, and people are looking, I'm seeing like everybody is looking at it, and then me, I'm seeing it like this is the sign. This is the sign of it.
All right. And
but then later on, I picked up, like I dropped, after joining the support groups, they encouraged me and said, sasa wewe unasema unakufa na ukiniangalia mimi. Then of course I could see some people who were far worse than me. And me, I was doing all right. Like I was in this acting drama, but them they were living it real. Like they have little problems with AIDS. So when I started the group, we had said the group will remain secret because we didn't want people to know that we have AIDS. So, but one time we went to another bar there at Kariobangi. One lady got drunk and she said, to me nitasema, hii group hata mkiona hao wanawake ati warebo hivyo, wako na ukimwi. So we didn't know whether to scatter or what, but that was the break.
Yeah.
Then later on we started meeting like women who have HIV. And from there, Kenwa was born.
Sure. We shall get there, Assunta. We're due for a break in about 2-3 minutes, but I want us to finish or end or, you know, this bit of the discussion in terms of stigma by talking about the church. Because Assunta, the church did actually conduct some, you know, final rituals for you, waiting for your death. And allow me, because there's a verse they were quoting in Deuteronomy, I'll read it in Kikuyu, then paraphrase. Korea arorete ne mwakine wa tene na tene. Do you remember that, Assunta? That basically translated means she's headed to the eternal sea of fire, okay? Exactly. Assunta, I mean, this coming from the church, uncalled for.
Yeah, I think this was the like 2 weeks towards when I was estimating to die. And the pastor came and washirika hapo, they are singing those sort of Kikuyu songs, like they are bidding goodbye. But basically the sympathy was to my mom, not to me. And of course, verses were shared like the one you have said. And another one, the wages of sin is death. So that's why, I mean, this is the time, end times now. Every revelation is being now fulfilled. So she's going to die, of course, but she serves as a lesson to us that you sin, this is the way you go.
My goodness, Assunta. All right, so let's now carry on to, before we take that break, like I mentioned, to when now the world and Kenya started like opening up to this epidemic, which actually late President Daniel Moi declared it an epidemic after about 100,000 people died from HIV. That was in 1994. I mean, this kind of news and the fact that it's affecting so many people and so fast, and probably still new, that a lot of people probably do not know about it. How was it for you?
I think that's just the time we were trying to come out of our cocoons, like we were confronting stigma and whatever. And then we just tried to look at the facts of AIDS. As I told you, we were starting an organization. It was not registered until President Moi declared a national disaster. And from there on, we were able to register as an organization. But the stigma, I would say it was very hard, because even the church, the religious people came in, and they had those who are innocently infected. There are those who are guilty because they're infected. You know, like the wives and all that, if you got HIV and you had a husband, that was more acceptable than when you get HIV and you are just a youth or not someone married. So, and the children, you could hear these ones are innocent. So there are some people who are innocent, there are some who are guilty, and we were handled that way. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of stigma, especially where the women I was talking about were coming from, like even landlords, they would crack off doors, and the myths were like, oh yeah, you can't breathe the same way. You can't stay in the same house. You can't do, you know, small things that were not facts. So I think me and those women, and of course others, we started going out, educating communities, sometimes door to door. And I think that's how one of the chief talked to Minister Madoka, yeah. I can't remember the other name. Mm-hmm. But Madoka is the one who picked us from the slums. And she said, I'm going to help you now. So from there, we started now organizing campaigns. Right. And we were using people living with the HIV to talk of their experiences. And I think that had really good impact on community, because earlier on was numbers. 700 people die per day. So 700 really doesn't have a face. But when they see the face, this is somebody's daughter, this is somebody's father, this is somebody's mother, and nobody would want to be infected. And I said, like I told them most of the meetings I went, I said, if somebody knew that day, if you leave the house, you will get HIV, nobody would leave the house.
That's true.
But it's unfortunate, things happen. This is not like you go to supermarket, leave the good things and pick to be HIV infected. It's just unfortunate. And then one more thing, we had not done what has not been done by anybody. All of you have done it. Most of you out there have done it. So, and having sex, it's everyone. You look at us, we are products of sex, yeah? So, but people are looking at us like you had different sex. This was quite different sex. It's not, you know, they see a pregnant woman, they give her a seat. Yes, this is a woman who has been having quality sex.
Right.
But they don't look at it that way.
That's true, Asinta. Okay, so let's take a pause there, Asinta, because we're due for a very, very short break. Stay with me. We're coming back with you, Asinta. Okay. Let's take that break. Stay with us. We come back and continue with this discussion on Her Say with Asinta Wagura.
Wanasema wasemao kuwa elimu ni bahari haiishi kwa kuchotwa. Wakati mwingi natangamana na wanafunzi madarasani, sio kama mwalimu bali kama nahodha kwenye kipindi cha tasnia ya elimu. Na iwapo utanikosa madarasani, basi utanipata nyanjani nikisaka habari zenye usawa, ufasaha na ukweli. Na iwapo utanikosa nyanjani, bila shaka utanipata studioni. Hapa nikisoma habari na kuendesha mijadala mikomavu. Mimi Ni Andrin Kilemi, mpenzi wa lugha ya Kiswahili na elimu kwa jumla.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Said, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
What's making the headlines? What does it mean to you? How does it affect you? We answer all these questions every Sunday for half an hour on To The Point Show. Hey, I'm Grace Kuriakanja, and a lot has happened this week. Let's dive into it.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. We carry on with the conversation we've been having on Her Say Tonight with Assunta Wagura, who is the Executive Director, KAWAC, that is KACB World Work Alliance in Canada. She has served as Executive Director, Kenya Network of Women with AIDS, and of course, she is an anti-HIV AIDS crusader. Assunta, thank you for staying with us. We carry on with our conversation. And you started by telling us that you're a mother of 5 boys, Assunta, by the way. And I'm also aware that you became the first person in Kenya to publicly declare that you gave birth to an HIV negative baby. I mean, Assunta, how was that for you when it happened and you were able to verify that your son is actually negative?
Yeah, when was that? Yeah, I think in living with the HIV, I later realized I have only one life to live, and life is not a rehearsal, like that it is wrong now, you come back and do it right. So I have only one life to live. And then the next thing I wanted, remember when I told you my dreams was once to have a family. So I badly needed a family. I wanted a family, my own family. So I decided I want to conceive and get a baby. And yeah, that was a package of another drama. Because you see, I was public. No man wants to be associated with me. And because I declared publicly, it meant the person coming on board had to be known. So when I said I want someone, I think I put it in the papers that I am looking for someone.
Yes, and pause Assunta, kwa sababu nilikuwa nikuulize. I mean, you actually did an advert on the dailies saying that unatafuta mtu, Assunta.
Natafuta mtu wa kuzaa na yeye, si mambo mingi.
Hebu tuambie, hiyo ilienda aje?
It was a drama, and then I think I got like almost 300 responses.
Wow! And you put it out that you're positive, Assunta.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I put out I was HIV. I put out my CD4 count, and I wanted someone not below this number of CD4 count because again, I don't want to get reinfected and all that, those kind of stuff. So people responded, some HIV positive, others negative, and the others said, oh yeah, me, I want just to have the baby and get away. You know, there were so many things, and finally I didn't pick one. I had to go for another way of getting someone.
Which was?
I picked someone by name Richard. He had proposed sometimes earlier and had dismissed him because unajua tu ile kuchagua. But then I said, oh, I think better this one than the whole crowd. Unless I had a panel to choose for me, I could not make a decision. So this one guy didn't mind. And we went ahead and tried to conceive. I didn't know I was past the conception time. So that was another handle now. Going to look for fertility treatment, doctors don't know what to attend you when you have HIV. Yeah. And they think because you have HIV, you shouldn't be thinking of getting a baby. And yeah, that was another journey. But finally, I got one doctor who agreed to assist me. And I think I worked with him like 1 or 2 years. And I got my baby Joshua. Joshua is 17 years. Was 17 years yesterday.
Oh, wow.
17 years.
Wow, yeah. A belated happy birthday to him.
Yeah, and the people really talked me out of that. Relatives, people in big positions and all that. And you see, mothers who had more than 5 children, they're talking me out of it. I think the more they talked me out of it, the more I became determined. The more I became, I'm gonna get this child. And I went ahead, and the media was waiting. And then, oh God, the devil was talking to me. I said, now you will see stuff, you will see hot stuff. And then the other side, God is telling me, I'm with you. I say, oh, now what will happen? So I'm taking Joshua for a HIV test. And I'm talking to God, I'm telling God, now God, the whole world is waiting to see how you fail me. So I go and take him 2 weeks, that looked like 2 decades. The result came. They were negative. I didn't know how to shout like he's negative, he's negative, he's negative. I think that was the greatest thing that happened. My first born Peter, he's about 33 now. Peter aliepuka tu tuseme aliepuka kwa bahati because I'd said before I die I must see how my child looked like. That's how I got Peter. But luckily Peter tested negative also because maybe by then the virus haikuwa imekomaa sana. But then after Joshua, I got another boy, and people are still talking. And I got 20 boys.
Wow. All of them negative.
Yeah, so my house is full of boys. I sound like I'm on pulpit, but that's my happiness.
Wow, I like that, Asinta. I like that. So time is not on our side. We have about 20 or less than 20 minutes left. And before we move on to the milestones that have been garnered thus far in this fight against HIV, not just in Kenya, but globally, there's something I mentioned before we took a break. The depiction of HIV then. Asunta, I mentioned the kind of videos and photos that would be shown as children in primary school and high school, and it was scary. And you do have an issue with that.
Oh yeah, I did. The videos that we were shown for education purposes, they actually crushed any hope someone had. Like the Radio Wangeshi video, the Rutaya video, and I think many others that were shown a very short period of a patient between when he gets sick and when the person died. I think I looked at that and I said, God, help me. I'm gonna reverse this. Help me. I reverse this. And I'm happy that short prayer was answered. I was able to reverse the perception of people living with HIV. Like they can live like anybody else. And thanks also to medication. Now they say other factors constant. A person with HIV can live as long as anybody else.
Right, most definitely. So now fast forward to 2023, and of course we just observed the World AIDS Day just a few days ago, December the 1st. Where do you feel we are at as a globe, or even as Kenya, in as far as HIV AIDS is concerned?
I think we were doing good, we were doing well, but at sometimes we flexed, we flexed the effort. And that one is seen by rising numbers of HIV infections and the number of TB cases. Like the way there was so much concerted effort to address HIV, I think it dropped a bit. Those efforts dropped a bit. And also people got relaxed a bit. So HIV is going up again. I understand Kenya stands at number 6 now. And as far as the infections are concerned, and also like what was achieved is almost getting reversed. Okay, it is not getting reversed to 0, but I believe if we pick up from where we are, we can get back to better results and better targets.
Mm-hmm. How about the stigma that has been for a long time associated with HIV? Because I'm asking this because we had that conversation on December 3rd, because December 1st was on a Friday, and I hosted a couple, Bena and his wife, who are both HIV positive. And nowadays, Assunta, you know, with social media, people are coming out and publicly saying that they are HIV positive. From Bena, the guy that I just mentioned, he said that the stigma is still there, though subtle, not like the previous days. Do you agree? Or the previous years, rather?
I think HIV per se will always have a stigma for reasons of mode of transmission. And although it is not as bad, still under the service, the stigma and discrimination still exists. You will see, like, they do not say it, oh, we do this, we discriminate this, like, or all this. But like you go, you want something, they want to do medical tests. They want to go for insurance purposes. Insurance will not cover if you have HIV. So that one is another kind of discrimination. You go talking like me publicly, you are HIV positive and all that. Like recently I was seeking some insurance for my mortgage. And the guy just went to the media and said, oh yeah, I saw your profile on the Facebook, I don't know whether it's Facebook or whatever. And he came to me, we can't give you a cover because at one time you are suicidal. So that means you are not mentally stable. Oh God. 30 years back, they are counting I'm mentally unstable.
Oh, good.
I can't get insurance. So, you see, they didn't say per se it's HIV, but they are relating it. That like that one time I was suicidal or what, and they could not offer me. So it is still devastating also to get HIV. Let's be frank about that. People still write to me how devastated they feel when they test positive, meaning the impact of HIV is still there. And look at it, how people look at the HIV. We don't hear so much like diabetic orphans. We don't hear, so many, but we have so much about HIV. Oh, those are AIDS orphans. Those are what orphans? But a child who has lost parents is still an orphan. So why would you emphasize HIV/AIDS and the person? And for instance, me like, what waliniita tu Assunta wa AIDS, until I have to say, oh, AIDS is not my name, please. I was just doing some campaigns against AIDS, because when you say Assunta, the people, ule wa ukimwi. Oh yeah, huyo namjua. Surely, I'm not mimi si wa ukimwi. I just did something against AIDS. But anyway, some don't mean the negative. But you can see I'm not sure ujasikia mtu wa diabetes, ujasikia mtu wa another disease like that, like hata Joe Muriuki was famous because of AIDS. But people do campaigns even for cancer and other diseases and other conditions, but you have not had someone synonymous with that campaign.
That's true. That's true. I mean, hatujasikia so and so wa diabetes, Assunta, like you say. Yeah. So, and hapo venye tu umesema Assunta wa AIDS, I mean, I'm curious, the reaction of your kids, if they know, of your children rather, if they know this, because most definitely they do know your status. But what I want to know is how they feel about what the world or what some people have done to you, those names, such tags, such as Assunta or AIDS.
I think, let me start with the old one. Peter has been dropped by 2 girlfriends.
No.
For reasons, mi siwezi kuwa na wewe, mama yako ako public na ako sijui ako kwa Google, ako kwa Facebook, ako na HIV. You see, it comes later now, like stigma and discrimination now extended to your children and all that. For the young ones, I just give them as much as they would understand, but I don't go to details with them. And yeah, some of them are super talkative. I don't want them to talk because, you see, it will affect their friends.
That's true.
It will affect our neighborhoods and all that. So I keep it really at a low profile.
Well, clearly the stigma is still there if it can be extended to even your children, your son, Peter.
Yeah, Peter understands and supports me all through. Because like that last girlfriend said, you have just to accept me the way I am and my mother the way she is. Otherwise we part ways, and she opted to go.
Yeah. So what do you think the powers that we should do? Because Assunta, and I always say this each and every time I'm having a discussion or a conversation on days that are commemorated, say, by the UN. In this regard, I'm talking about World AIDS Day, because on World AIDS Day and December by extension, we talk about HIV, the interventions being made. But like Bena, who I told you I hosted a few weeks ago, was telling me, kwa ground, I don't know if you're familiar with this term, kwa ground vitu ni different. Are you familiar with it?
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I am familiar with that, and like I was very uncomfortable with the target 0 because people are dying, and you say, oh, we are headed to 0. We are so far from 0, and that will take a while for us to be at 0. And I would say there's this way we put information out there to impress the donors or our partners or our funders, because we don't want them to hear like we get the money and we are not achieving results. That's one thing. So we are likely to say, oh, we have treated this number of people, we have reduced this, we have done that, but the reality is very different. I say that because like now in Korogosho, I was there recently, I was there in Madare, people are still dying of HIV. People are not HIV per se, but they can't get the resources they need to live with the disease.
Right.
Like I would say, I've lived like 35 years with HIV because I'm able to get the resources I want to live healthy. But like I'm in Korogosho, I can't get food, I can't get water, I can't get medication on time. Sometimes there are those struggles between the government and the donors who are bringing medication in. They want to charge them customs and the duty, and they're saying, no, we are giving you support. How can we pay for that? All those are some underlying issues, but nobody wants to talk about them. But those underpins any efforts that would have been successful to fight HIV is very true. This is like the recent theme. Let the communities lead.
Yes, yes.
Lead with what? They need resources. They need resources that filter down to the community. Communities, believe me, are very resourceful. They know their problems. They know how to address their problems and their challenges. And I saw that with Kenwa. Kenwa had women who had volunteered. Hatukuwa na pesa ya kulipa watu. And they volunteered, walikuwa mtu anapika uji kwake, anapelekea neighbor, na mgongo na nini na kibuyu, and it worked. It worked. So communities know what they need, but they need the resources. Resources, these are meetings, sijui tuko New York, tuko wapi, we are paying aeroplanes, and all that is money going to HIV, we shall never get results. No. Until we take money to the community down there, That's when we get results, not in the boardrooms or the meetings or seminars and workshops, no matter how we decorate them or what we call them.
Right. And Assunta, statistics actually show that there is not enough Kenyans rather have access to ARVs, which is pretty much everything they need.
Yeah, we shouldn't even be talking about people who don't access ARVs, especially like there's Global Fund that supports that, there's USAID that supports that. But what do we get? We hear like money is misappropriated. Then if you're not accountable and you're receiving money, then the patients suffer.
That's true. That's true. All right, we have a few minutes left, but I want us to talk about some progress, if we could call it that, Assunta, that has been made. Because, for instance, PrEP, you know, there's been a study that shows it's actually a highly preventative HIV drug. Do you consider that as part of the milestones that have been made in this journey?
Yeah, it is a milestone now that people can take the PrEP. I think PrEP is just one of the regimes of ARVs.
Right.
But we want, as much as we are preventing, we also treat the ones who are HIV infected. Because if we those ones who get infected, it's a smaller number than those who don't have. So it's easier to attend these who are HIV infected, because like when a person is has an undetectable viral load and a good CD4, the chances of infecting another person are very low, minimal, or not there at all. So I think my look would be like that. And yeah, we need more money to research also.
Right.
And I was wondering just recently, like, how come we got something for COVID so fast, yet we have not gotten something for HIV? That 5 years or more years down the line. I mean, something is just not right somewhere. We need some resources to do research. We need, like, we would be assured by now, like if I give birth to a child, my child is assured the child will not get HIV, but we don't have that now. We don't have that.
And Assunta, on the back of that, I don't know if you are aware, but there was actually an HIV vaccine trial which was dubbed this decade's last roll of the dice. But unfortunately, it stopped because of disappointing results, which is pretty much what you're saying. We got a vaccine real soon against COVID, but this one seems to have been put on a hold.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, when it is done with an agenda, it's not going to go far.
What agenda? What agenda?
Was to go far. I mean, I achieved this huge funding for research, and I go to Africa or Nairobi or Kenya or wherever, because those are the people who are not defended, because nobody cares what happens like after the vaccine trials and all that, what happens to those patients and all that. So it's like, how much can we save if we do this research? But then you see, like they will barely carry any research here in Canada or US because of the human rights and human life protection.
Right.
But any research and all that, jump to Kenya, jump to Uganda, jump to those states like wamama wanataka 200 aende nyumbani. That's what happens.
Unfortunate, Assunta. So Kenya has been elected as the chair of the Joint United Nations program on HIV/AIDS. That happened, I think, on today's Saturday, on Thursday, thereabout. Do you think this will do any good to us as a country, at least having this kind of position at the UN?
Yeah, we can achieve that, but we need political goodwill. Without political goodwill and policy goodwill, we might not go far. But it's a good effort and a step in the right direction.
All right, Assunta. So as we wrap up, I mean, it's been 35 years, you said, living with HIV. And Assunta, just allow me to say this. You were given 6 months to leave. Look at you, 35 years later, looking at you, Saizi Assunta, I mean, one cannot even tell unless, one knows your story, but huwezi jua that, you have HIV and you've been living with it. I mean...
I don't also remember. I don't remember.
I like that.
It's like, when my medication comes in, I say, oh, yeah, I remember now. I do have this thing. But sincerely, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Sincerely, I don't remember. And I told you about the boys, and I have those projects, Kawak, Kenwa, and I'm managing grants and all that, like, they don't look like you have HIV, you can't. You ask for the money now, show them results. I mean, you don't have time to think about HIV. Mm-hmm. But mostly I would want it to be for everyone. I would want it to be for everyone. The women in Korogosho, Madare, those informal settlements, so that they can also live good lives and quality lives.
And you're mentioning Korogosho, Mathare, and the like. Clearly, Kenya is still at your heart. What projects are you still working on in the country?
Yeah, I'm working on more sustainable approach. You remember when we started Kenya, we were more at a relief approach. Okay, you want fair, get fair, or you want food, get food. But now we want to look at it like how can community members sustain themselves, and so that I think it's very disempowering sometimes when you think you are helping, giving relief or charity, but it remains where you reach. Like you don't have money, food next Thursday, then those people don't have food next Thursday. That's very disempowering. We want where they're able to make income, generate income, and mostly I'm looking at building the digital capacity for women and youth for more inclusion and participation in social and economic areas.
All right, so let's get to your closing remarks now, Assunta. And I want you to talk to someone who has just been diagnosed with HIV today. And there's a comment we got from one of our viewers when we put it up that we're having this conversation tonight. And they said HIV is not a death sentence, which is true. I totally agree with it. But someone who's been diagnosed today and thinks it's the end of life, talk to them.
Yeah, I would say if you're diagnosed today, it's unfortunate if you tested HIV positive, but that does not define who you are and your destination. It could be a new chapter in your life. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel devastated. But we all fall at one time. We just stand up, dust off, and walk one step at a time, one day at a time. And talk to us. Me, I'm open to everyone. My phone is open. My social media is open. You can reach me. I answer all questions. And many people out there are willing to support. Believe me, Kenyans are very good in supporting one another.
Most definitely, from heartbreak to daybreak, Assunta.
Yeah, I just put like a story there for myself, like how it was growing up. Because you see, if you want to wananiambia Assunta wa AIDS. I had also other life. I was not only born with AIDS, I know that. So I give them my background and how I came to be diagnosed and how I lived after. And not that I was so perfect, complaining all along way, because I also participated somewhere along the way in my faith and all that. But that does not define who I am.
Right.
I can always stand and go and walk one step at a time. Okay. And I say, I will aim at the moon, and if I fail, I'll find myself at the stars.
That's
true. I'm not failing. I'm not failing.
We're not failing, Assunta. Oh, great.
Yeah. I don't accept failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing my dad taught me. Failure is not an option or an answer.
Wow.
So I will tell those people out there, don't accept failure. You still, that day you tested positive, that's not when you got it. You got it earlier. Mm-hmm. You could have worried earlier, started worrying earlier. So it doesn't make sense. Just wake up, move on, and let's see what is there for you.
Most definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Assunta.
Thank
That's
you so much.
A great place
Thank
to
you.
end it. I do appreciate it. It's 2:30 p.m., 2:33 p.m. Where you are. We wish you a lovely day ahead. Assunta, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Her Say. Thank you for your time and your contribution tonight.
Thank you so much and happy weekend.
All right, you too, Assunta. Bye. Thank you. That has been Assunta Wagura.